Um, Thank you to everyone who decided to watch and tune in and hear my testimony. So, I have it written down. So, if I'm like, I'm gonna try not to read off of it the whole time because I want it to be natural, but I knew that if I didn't write it down, my brain would be all over the place. Um, so, I have always been a Christian. As long as I remember, I accepted the Lord when I was so young. I don't even remember when I did. I was like 3. So my life has always been full of God. I've always gone to church. I've always been in a Christian household. I've been raised Christian. I've been raised with the love of God in me. But I did go through some things in my life that made me falter. So freshman year, I lost my cousin, Katie. She was 21, for unknown reasons. She got in a car crash, and she survived that. And she had a heart condition, and one morning she was in her room and she started having a seizure and she died. And we don't know what it was from. We don't know if it was from the car crash, if she had a concussion, if it was her heart that gave out, but I can tell you guys that the pain of losing a loved one is excruciating. I had never felt pain like that before. I'm not super emotional. I don't really cry that much, but when I found out that she died, I was screaming, crying. I was screaming in my bedroom, crying, and I was angry at God. I thought that God took her away from me, and I was very mad at him. But deep down, I knew that she was dancing and singing with her real Father in heaven. And after that, my relationship with God just wasn't the same anymore. I tried to get back into things with God and tried to restore our relationship, but it wasn't the same. I didn't feel his love anymore. I didn't feel his glory anymore. I didn't feel his presence as much anymore. I would go to church every once in a while, but I wasn't praying to God, asking him to take my anxiety and my depression. I wasn't leaning on God to restore me from my anxiety and my depression. And in the beginning of my sophomore year, I met a boy, and I thought that he would cure my anxiety and my depression, and life would be great. And it was great for like the first few months, but very quickly I started hearing God tell me in the back of my mind, Hailey, run. What are you doing in this relationship? You need to get out. But he was very manipulative and abusive. He was skewing what love really meant. In my brain, I thought, okay, love is supposed to endure all things. So no matter what he does to me, says to me, how he makes me feel, I have to stay with him. Because I thought I loved him. But I didn't. And I remember this relationship as a year with a boy of fear and anxiety and manipulation. I would cry to my mom about what to do because I thought that I loved him, but I was trapped. And I wasn't allowed to hang out with my friends. I wasn't allowed to talk to anyone. I was allowed to talk to people, but you'd get upset. And so I distanced myself from my friends because I was being manipulated and I was trapped, and so I didn't really have anyone. And when he decided, I'm done with this girl, I'm kind of bored, I don't want her in my life anymore, I was like, oh my gosh, I don't have anyone to turn to. Who am I going to turn to? He was the only person who loved me, you know what I mean? Because I thought he loved me. But I know now that he never actually did. And so when that happened, I was broken once again. blinded by manipulation, I didn't see that God was calling me to love him. I didn't see that this whole time, this manipulative, sketchy relationship was happening, that God was telling me, Hailey, you need to get out. You need to love me. This boy is not loving you. He's not going to bring you the love that I'll bring you. And I wasn't listening because I was trapped in a manipulative relationship. So after the breakup happened, I got really sick. I have asthma, chronic asthma, and I had gotten bronchitis, which is really bad to get when you have asthma. So I was extremely sick, and I was out of school for like 3 weeks. And in this time of sickness, I kept on feeling God calling me to pray. So I started praying, and I started reading the Bible, and I started listening to worship music, and I started praying again, and I saw the light. I started going to church once I got better. I prayed again. I finally felt joy in my heart. God loved me at my worst and my best. I have to turn the page. I am so happy now. I have been for a very long time. God showed me that no love is greater than his. I felt God tell me, Hailey, I love you, and I always will. I had to go through the hard times to get to the good times, and I thank God daily for what he has done in my life. So, even though I was struggling in this relationship, and I was struggling with losing my cousin, God loved me. God loved me when I was denying him. God loved me when I said, no, you're not going to do good for me. This boy is going to do good for me. That was completely wrong. And God loved me even though I thought that. He helped me. He held my hand. He held me through that whole time that I was broken. And once you go through something like that and you start praying and you're in the Word and you're feeling God's joy again, you start realizing things that happened to you that shouldn't have happened. I realized things about that relationship that I was in, and I was like, that should have never happened to me. The fact that that happened to me was not okay, and God was trying to tell me that the whole time, but I wasn't listening because I was blindsided and I was manipulated. So I encourage you guys, if you're ever in a relationship and you're hearing God tell you, get out, this isn't right, listen to him before it's too late. Because obviously I'm fine, like I'm okay now, but it was really hard in the relationship and coming out of the relationship because he was so manipulative that I didn't know that I had God watching over me the whole time. I didn't know that I could have turned to God at any time and I would have been happy and I would have felt the love that I was craving. I was craving love, and I thought I could find that in a boy. But you can't. You can't find love like that in a significant other. The only love that you can find that you're craving is love from God. So, that's my testimony. If you guys liked it, let me know. And if you watched it,